So Osho was not wrong about the challenges of monogamy, the challenges of marriage, but the alternative that he presented, that of the commune, that was not really anything new, and it was not really something special. I mean, the commune had been suggested by communists hundreds of years earlier. So Osho was not suggesting anything new. Some of the children in these communes, when they grew up, they said, we were just left. We didn't know where our parents were. Nobody took care of us. So the commune system, he didn't have a particularly original idea. So in that sense, again I say that he lacked a certain kind of practical intelligence, a man of great wisdom, but everybody cannot, do everything. I'd also like to mention at least two discourses where he contradicted himself. In one of his early discourses, he says women are the most creative of the two sexes because they give birth to children. And giving birth to a child is the most creative act that's possible. So, many people listened to that. The women were pleased that, okay, women are more creative than men because they give birth to children. But a few years down the line, he said, there's nothing creative about giving birth to children. It's just a biological thing. Why? What are you doing? It's just, the sperm is going into the ova and children are coming out. It's nothing creative at all. Anybody can produce children. They just need a biology. So he contradicted himself. People said, but earlier you used to say this. So he got upset and he said, oh well, forget what I said earlier. The same way, I think another contradiction that I remember is that at one point somebody asked him, do we need to really wear these orange robes? And he said, no, you don't have to wear them. Wear anything. I never said that you have to wear orange robes. Then actually people took him for his word, and then they started just dressing up like anything, wearing normal green, black, yellow shirts and trousers. But then he got upset, and he said, and he showed that he was upset, so then people realized that he didn't really mean it. So there were these kind of contradictions sometimes that came up in his discourses as well. That is not in any way to say that he was not a great, wise man with wonderful thoughts, with deep spiritual and philosophical insights.
So how can you rate all the gurus as 70% good and 30% bad? I mean, how are they all at the same rank?
Well, within these four, I don't want to give them a comparative ranking because I think it will be unfair. But I think all of them, they are 70. They don't go above 70. And I think we should maintain a critical mindset. The great Buddha said, do not believe anything just because I say so, And Buddha is saying these, but these people, these four gurus we are talking about, they don't say this. So for that reason alone, I think they don't deserve more than 70%.
You even said that Sadhguru doesn't quote a controversy even if there is a need to do so.
Yes. For example, there was a talk on Sabrimala. I heard Sadhguru give a discourse in some auditorium where a boy asked him a question. He said, in the context of the Sabrimala temple controversy, he said, men and women are supposed to be equal. Why should women not be allowed to enter the temple? And our constitution, men and women are equal, and the women should also be allowed to enter the temple. So I think Sadhguru's answer was not very fair. He said that there are some forces which are not good for women, and that's why some cosmic or spiritual forces which are not good for women, and that's why they should not enter. So then the boy asked a follow-up question that why is it that only women are going to get these, bad negative forces? Why don't we have temples where women can go and men cannot go? So I think Sadhguru was not completely fair. He became critical of the boy and he said that, actually you may not realize that I knew that your question is going to come from a certain part of the auditorium even before you asked the question. So I think that was unfair on Sadhguru's part. So personally on the Sabrimala issue, I feel that there might have been a custom, but we should go ahead and go further from the custom. We don't have to stick to custom in all cases. Let the women enter. So there is a great paradox, because I feel enlightened Hindu leadership should have been suggesting that women should be allowed to enter the temple. Instead of that, you have the atheist communists who are suggesting that women should, they have their own agenda. So I'm not saying that the communists are doing this just out of the goodness of their heart. But I feel that we need reform in India, we need reform in Hinduism also. There are lots and lots of temples. There's a temple which is just 30 feet away from my home, which says that menstruating women cannot enter. And there are thousands of such temples across the country. So when you speak of the Sabrimala temple issue, you should see this in a wider context, that there may be customs in hundreds or thousands of temples which don't allow women to enter when they are in a particular state. Why should that be allowed to exist? So Sadhguru should have spoken out against those customs and then said, okay, if in this case I believe let's continue with the custom, that still have been acceptable. So I think he was a bit harsh with this boy, but there's a reason why Sadhguru does that.
Why do you think that Sadhguru supported the government?
You know, the communists have been very critical of Sadhguru, and they have been critical of him in a very unfair manner. For example, Hindu newspaper, they invited Sadhguru, come and give us a talk on environment, because Sadhguru has tried to help do things for the environment. But you have Ramchandra Guha, the leftist historian on Gandhi, who said, oh, why have they called Sadhguru? Sadhguru is damaging the environment. There are other people like Swara Bhaskar, who says Sadhguru is a violent man. So he's received attacks from the left, from the communists. So in a way, I think I can understand Sadhguru's position that he cannot sort of support a stand taken by people who are saying such nasty things about him. So it becomes difficult for him.
Sadhguru is not against the family, unlike Osho.
Yes. Well, Sadhguru himself had a family. He has a daughter who you can see on YouTube in one of the videos. So he obviously could not have been against the family. The other thing, difference between Osho and Sadhguru is that Osho spoke out against environmental degradation, about what's happening to the Himalayas, but he said, I'm not going to do anything about it. So he says, my job is to transform the individual, and then the individual can do whatever they want to do about saving the planet. But Sadhguru has demonstrated greater activism. He's spoken about the need to conserve our rivers. I mean, he's made an effort also, a bona fide effort, even if it didn't work out. So he's tried to engage with the environment and also with welfare schemes. So in that sense, he's different from Osho.
You gave all these gurus 7 out of 10, and Sadhguru and Osho are enlightened men. You still gave them 7 out of 10 only?
You know, Ananya, sometimes we get impressed by a teacher, we think this is the best teacher, this is the best professor that's possible. So sometimes people might have been listening to Osho, to Raman Maharishi, to Sadhguru, and they say, oh, my guru, he's the best. There can't be a guru better than this. But that is, you're suspending your critical thinking. The Buddha says, don't believe anything just because I've said so. The Buddha is saying that. So these gurus are, with due respect to them, they cannot compare with the Buddha. So, and the greatest, the other thing is that I believe that the greatest gurus have yet to come. If people listen to this talk 20 years from now, they'll say, oh my God, Mr. Talwar was right. You know, these gurus who have now come, they outclass the previous gurus. So I do believe we are on the brink of great cultural and spiritual revival. And the gurus who are going to come in the future, they are going to be yet greater. So we see awesome gurus and we say, well, there can't be anything better than this. But there is something better. There can be something better possible. The person who gave the, and you say that, you know, Sadhguru and Osho, they claim to be enlightened. The person who gave the world the idea of enlightenment was the Buddha. And I would give Lord Buddha also 9.5 out of 10.
You would rate Buddha 9 out of 10. So how can someone like you rate him?
Well, you know, in the West, one of the good things that is practiced by the universities is that the students rate the professors. It doesn't mean that the students are better than the professors, but they can rate them and see what they got from them. And the great thing is the Buddha himself says, don't follow me just because, you know, I'm the Buddha. Don't believe anything I've said just because I'm saying it. Use your critical thinking. Think of it, then only accept. That will be a genuine belief, not that you're just following me, blindfolded. So when the Buddha is saying that, do you think the Buddha was lying? Or he was telling an untruth? The Buddha was being completely sincere, you know. That is the hallmark of the greatest people who have walked the planet. They say, don't follow me just because I'm saying that. So I think the Buddha would not be unhappy with me when I say that I would give him 9.5 out of 10. I am nobody to rate the Buddha, that is true. But the student can rate the professor. The disciple can rate the master. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So you gave Buddha the score of 9 or 9.5 out of 10. So can you tell us what is that flaw which prohibits you to give him a perfect score?
Well, maybe next time we can speak of Buddhism and the limitations of Buddhism, but today's session had been long enough.
So that was it for today. I'm pretty sure that I learned something new and interesting, and maybe you did too. Stay tuned with us because we'll be back with yet another episode very soon.
Thank you, Ananya. It's good to be with you and your team. It's wonderful. I think we had a very long episode today, but hopefully it was rewarding to our viewers. And see you again in a few days, and we'll talk about something else. Maybe we talk about meditation.